what can I say apart from that? The mesh has become a scandal, it's become a shambles. 10 years I've been at it now, as I have spoke to you before. And I've tried and tried, and what I particularly want to go on about is the lack of help that hasn't been forthcoming, and the lies we have been told, and also the lack of the care pathway we've tried to get. And the group that I created in 2008, which is Meshies United Group UK. The lack of informed consent, and actually the flawed procedure as it is. So there's a wide lot of things I wish to talk about, but we'll just stick to a few. So in 2006 I had this operation. We have met before and I have told you, so I won't go into all the details about that, but it did go wrong somewhere along the line, and it took from 2008 to 2013 before I got any answers. That was 7 surgeons and 1 cancer specialist. I was lied and lied and lied to. Okay? Within that, I formed this group, and my husband wished I hadn't, because it became part of my life that he wasn't part of.
Yes, he was. He was very much part of it. Because he liked to listen to it all the time.
Well, in that way, yes.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of counselling through the telephone?
Yes.
Like that, I remember telling me.
Yes, so what I did on a smaller scale is what you are all doing now. I went round the country and I visited hospitals, and I visited the sick and disabled, and I was disabled myself. I was quite fortunate then to be able to do that with the help of David, which drove him mad. And the tales were sad. We cried a lot together because we couldn't get help. There was no help at all. We were told that it was all in the head, that we didn't have pain, we didn't have injuries. And all these phone calls kept coming in. So a lot of them were from Scotland, I should say. And I sent them up to Scotland to another group. That's how Scotland came on board. And I stayed with England. So we kept taking these calls, not just me. There was 2 other ladies with me. One was called and one was called, and we helped. I can't put the number on what we did out, and we sat and we just listened to these people for hours. I had to cut them off after an hour. I couldn't take much more for some of them because they wanted to kill themselves, and this went on for years. And then we met with Ale Howe, the Department of Health, and I said to Ale Howe, I can't take any more of these people who want to die. You've got to do something about this. They just sent a letter saying the benefits outweigh the risks. That's all I got back. So did I. No. She wasn't interested. She wasn't interested whatsoever. I'd asked her, did she want to have it done to her, see how she'd come out the other side? Because I was angry. So I wrote to Jeremy Hunt. I have given you freedom of information there. I asked to meet him. I got no reply. I did a petition, took it to Downing Street. That was 2012. I met with the MHRA upon 2 occasions. David was with me all these times. We went to the European Commission in Brussels, and these are all at the cost to me. I spent thousands of pounds. I didn't go around asking for money off anybody. And we went to the Royal College of Gynecology, didn't we, David?
Mm-hmm.
And we went to see Professor, well-renowned professor, and various other organisations. And as the years went by, it must have been 2012, 2013, they all came back, the benefits outweigh the risks. That was all we used to get, letters like that. So basically, that was where we went with a mesh group, being a mesh group, trying to get answers, trying to get help, trying to get a care pathway in place. That was one way the group formed. If I go on to the informed consent, as far as we're concerned, as women who've had these mesh procedures, we don't feel we were informed properly, given enough information. I don't know what they're given now at this present moment, but I certainly wasn't told what it was made of and what could happen to me. And that was also with a lot of women that I spoke with. They hadn't been told how they could end up. You know, weren't given that decision. We were told maybe it was an 85% success rate. So if you were in the unlucky 15%, there was no care pathway for you. God help you. You were left to die. You were left to rot. You were left with your injuries. You were left with nobody to go to, because nobody would take you on. They would lie to you. They would tell you there's nothing wrong with you and that you were just a hysterical woman. I came up against all this, and I won't repeat myself in that way, but it took its toll on me. It took its toll on my marriage, and it took the toll on my husband and son. And for me to be here today to talk about it is rather traumatic as well. I know you understand that. We were never told they were permanent devices. We never told it could tighten, shred into the tissue. We were never told we would lose any intimacy with your husband, how your vagina would be scarred. We weren't told about nerve damage. We weren't told you could end up self-catheterising and that it could migrate around the body. So there was really no other alternative offered to us rather than mesh, transvaginal mesh for special organ consent.
Can I ask you then, are there alternatives that you have discovered now that you feel should have been offered or could be offered now because science has moved on?
Well, it's going back to the colpo suspension. It's the old traditional method. That's mainly the one that hasn't been taught now to the surgeons. So basically what's happened is maybe that should have been on offer. But if there isn't enough surgeons to do that operation, it can't be offered, because this has become the quick fix because of the money, pharmaceutical companies. Although it costs £415, I think, for a kit. As to the colpo suspension, you can end up with 5 to 7 days in hospital having to recuperate. So that is maybe that should have been offered. Exercises, There wasn't a great deal on offer, to be honest. And I don't see a great deal now on offer.
Have your members who contact you, women who are suffering, have some of them had the goal, possibly?
Yes, there has, yes.
Has that made a difference to them?
To one or two, to two, no. It didn't work on two of them.
They're suffering just the same as
Yeah, it didn't work. So, you know, I don't know what the odds are on that not working. But at least you haven't got mesh in you. You see, that's the difference. This mesh, which you know of now, it's just breaking up, and you know, it's causing all sorts of autoimmune problems for us. I mean, I've just got fibromyalgia, costochondritis, dizzy spells. That's besides everything else. I don't know what's happened to my body really since this mesh was put in it. It's been that much. So the difference between that operation and the mesh is the fact that the mesh migrates, breaks, goes brittle, and it's not just immediately this happens. I mean, one lady, she was 10 years down the line. She was singing its praises, and then this day it all went wrong. She said it was just she said it was like bad smell of fish, and she couldn't get help from her GP, and actually she ended up with, and he ended up cutting her labial folds off in the end because she was in that bad a way with the mesh, and that was after 10 years, and he had to reconstruct it underneath, and that lady's still suffering, and she helps a lot of people even with her suffering. So she then tried a corporal suspension actually, but it didn't work. So that was in the last 3 years.
Can I ask, have you seen the new guidelines that have been issued for consultation?
I have looked at them briefly.
What do you think?
I don't think much of them at all, because you know, they're not saying the operation should be banned. There isn't really a lot there being changed, as far as I'm concerned. From 2013, was it the last one?
No, they just come out.
No, from the previous one.
Oh, right, yes.
There isn't a lot in there, apart from what were they saying? Women should only be seen by a trained surgeon. I'd like to know who's trained.
And they do suggest some alternatives that should be considered
before the mesh. But that's not a lot, is it? It's not helping with I mean, they are only guidelines at the end of the day, and they don't have any clout over the MHRA. The MHRA are the people who shouldn't have put this on the market, actually. They are the people who are held responsible as far as I'm concerned, and they are the people that need looking into, especially on the money side. I've said this all along. I came up against the MHRA and they sent 4 policemen to try and lock me up because I was protesting outside. But they had to meet me in the end, and I met them twice, and I was on the NHS working group committee with them. And I have to say they were quite an aggressive people as far as this mesh is concerned. They weren't nice people at all. And as for the NHS working group on mesh, that wasn't fit for purpose either, because people, I don't know whether they're aware that 18 months down the line, I was on this committee and I was sidelined 18 months down the line, along with the other people who were patient representatives. We weren't really told. They kept on, 2 from the MHRA and Neil, someone, I can't remember his name, and a surgeon, and the patients' representatives were removed, and they gave themselves a new title, which was very good of them, I thought, to give themselves a new title. And they brought all these people in, and we didn't know who they were. I spent a whole morning and a day, 18 months later, looking for the final report because I couldn't get hold of it. They wanted me to read it and give my thoughts to them the next day at 9:30 in the morning. Well, I have to tell you, I'm not even awake at 9:30 in the morning. So to read a 63-page document that I couldn't get hold of was never going to happen. But this group they created called the Oversight Group, we were never included in what they were talking. Pardon?
That's why it was an oversight.
Yeah, it was an oversight, a big oversight actually. And Professor Keith Willett has a lot to answer for. I'd like to ask him why he did this. But I was so angry at the time, I wouldn't take his call. So 4 patients' reps, they actually resigned within this 18 months that was left when this Mesh Oversight Group was created. We never got any minutes from them. We had to keep asking, where are the minutes? And it was just impossible. It was a fiasco. It was a disgrace. And he needs investigating for that alone and the cost of what it was and what it achieved. Because it achieved absolutely nothing. They didn't listen. We kept talking about success. They weren't interested in whether we were injured, how we could get help. There was nothing there. And how I kept my temper, I don't know.
I know bureaucracies are very difficult to deal with. But I wondered, Simon, do you want to add something?
Teresa, could I ask you, you talked about care pathway earlier. I think it would be really helpful from our point of view to hear a little bit more if you've got thoughts about what a good care pathway would look like for people who are suffering at the moment.
Well, you need contacts. You know, we talk about putting us in touch with the trained surgeons. Well, the trained surgeons were the ones who put the mesh in. So we need to gain trust of these people, who they are, why they're called trained surgeons, what have they done to be called trained surgeons. We're still in this loop, saying people that are out there. Are you with me? I mean, I was lied to by 5 of them. Are they part of this trained surgeons? I don't know, because I could never go to them if that was the case. So how do we get over that one? You know, communicating, sending people to be looked at. We need these women to be looked after with their injuries. Is that what we're talking about? Is this what you're asking, like the care pathway? That's one way. We need surgeons.
What about other types of support for women?
Well, they definitely need counselling. Definitely. Because I tell you what, I wanted to do myself in many a time. And that's no kidding. And, you know, I've sat on the end of a phone with a woman, many women who wanted to die. And they never knew, yeah, I want to die with you. You know, this is how bad it is. So there is counselling there to be had. Other methods of what can be used or not used instead of this mesh.
Would it help to have help and advice about how to get through the benefit system for people who need to claim benefits?
Well, it would. But I mean, it's a minefield out there. I've been there myself. You do need help, but we have these injuries. They're invisible. I'm sure you've heard this before. They're not recognised. Who's going to recognise us as being injured, disabled? Why are we like this? You know. So that's another area. Yes. Do you know of any?
Oh, it's absolutely right in that sense. You do need help. And we've been through the process of a PIP assessment, and it was bloody horrendous. And that's as much as I can say. It was bloody horrendous.
Did you get it in the end?
We still don't know. This is four months ago, and we don't know what's happened, what the result is. after 4 months. That makes it worse because you're waiting and waiting and waiting. We don't know. But the actual time spent having the assessment, I wouldn't wish anybody to go through. Because it's not there for your benefit. It's there to take anything, to not give you anything, and that's what you feel when you go in there and you start talking to somebody. They don't want to listen to you. They don't want to know what's wrong with you. They just want to know what you can do, or what they believe you can do. Because when we got the report back and I sat and read it, I didn't want to use the word lies, but that's what was put down.
Yeah, it would help if people were given some advice or
Well, it would.
somehow to... I don't really know how you could help, to be honest. I don't know. In that way. But
Well, if there was
government or
advice
someone-
to help people
yeah.
get some sort of benefits if it was duly needed and was correct, yes, that would be good.
Yeah.
David, can I ask you what impact it's made on you?
Yeah, it's a funny one really, this, because I am a very positive person, which is a good job, but I get depressed. I get fed up. But I can't, can I? That's it in a nutshell, really. I've watched Teresa go through hell, and I know even going forward, that's not going to improve. It may go worse. But I've got to get up each day and start again. It's made a big difference to our life, as I'm sure you could understand. You know, I could talk about it, but it's not going to make any difference. The fact of the matter is, it's not been easy. And it's not been easy for a lot of people, because I know people have separated from their partners through this, and I can understand why. Sometimes we live, breathe and easy till it just gets on my damn nerves, to be honest, that the conversation will go round, to the same thing, and I just want to turn off. And one of the things when we had the PIP assessment, I'm going back all over the past, and I do not want to go over the past. I want to move forward, the best that we can do. But that's not at all easy to do. But I will. But that's me. That's not everybody, unfortunately.
We have heard similar things from other partners and husbands, actually. I know. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
I'm lucky to be here today, to be honest. I had 2 heart
Just
attacks.
the fact that you've come today means a lot to us. Thank you so much, you and David, for coming. But is there something else you wanted to say?
No, I was just saying, when I had my heart attacks a few months ago, the choice there was for living or dying, and giving me stents, or stents and mesh. But I was told.
I'm so sorry what you've been through, both of you. I mean, it's been horrendous. I absolutely understand that. But I think the support that you're giving to other women is really very remarkable and very, very helpful to them. And the fact you're here today is important to us.
And you have done a lot. I mean, a huge amount. We wouldn't be here without the efforts of you and people like you.
Well, I'd like to see this mesh banned, basically. It's, it shouldn't even be out there. It shouldn't have got this far.
So
We shouldn't
we're
be
going to be looking at what's happened in the past and what should be done, hasn't been done, and who should have done it. We're also looking at the present, people who are going through such suffering at the moment, and what we can try and do to help them. And then, as you say, David, we want to look to the forward to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, and do all the sort of mechanisms, all the things we can think of to try and prevent this sort of tragedy from happening. But I do want to thank you so much for coming.
I think we both appreciate the difficulty that you've got.
No, you have,
Yeah.
because I've been sort of in your place on a smaller scale, and David's been there as well, and we know what it's like to sit and listen to harrowing tales, unfortunately. So I just owe... What about compensation, anyhow? I've just thought of that one. I want compensation. I'll come up with
You've
that
got
one.
compensation, you've got me.
Yeah.
That's only compensation you're going to get.
I want compensation from the government. I've just realised. Why can't I have it?
We're thinking about the sort of redress that we can help with. Compensation is quite a difficult word, and we obviously have to think about that in some depth. Because we, of course, can't access anything. I mean, in terms of we're not executive. We can only recommend, and then it's really for other people to pick up our recommendations. But you will recognise that we had the pause where we said this should stop happening until the 5 different areas that we knew were doing harm should be mitigated. That should stop. So we have taken action already to try and improve things. And we do know the numbers of people who are having mesh inserted has gone down dramatically, and I don't say it's all for us, because of us. Could have been very well for all you and your groups, different patient groups, for bringing this to the attention. But that's good that we're seeing a tremendous reduction in the numbers, so that's important.
And we are working on many of the suggestions that you've made to us, both when we met before and in writing.